Purple King, who's just finished his work this morning and actually been schooling with Colleen Leonard on top. The horse is fine, he's progressed well, he's ready to run. He's one of the horses I've got down to run in the next week or so. And actually there's a race at Newton Abbot on the 7th of July, which might just work for him. I think he's quite well handicapped off 113. There were 2 lovely wins last year, but we've not seen the best of him yet, I think. So I'm still hoping that we can go on hurdling. We could go chasing in the future, but for the moment my focus is to try and win another handicap hurdle race. So Newton Abbot, 7th of July, Purple King, he's in good form. We've had an uncomplicated training regime. So this is Captain Tomcat, who's a new young horse we've got. He's only 5 years old, but he's a great big stamp of a horse, you can see. He's by Dylan Thomas. Dylan Thomas tends to produce quite big horses. He'll be going the maiden hurdle, novice hurdle route. And he actually was 3rd in the point-to-point in Ireland and then lost his form. So we bought him pretty cheaply, to be honest. But the 3rd at the time, you might have been disappointed, but the winner's gone on and won the Cheltenham Festival bumper, Fernie Hollow. And the second horse, Gigginstown, paid over 100,000 for. So it might just be he's a bit better than that bare form tells you. Captain Tomcat. This is HIGGS. And we're very lucky to have Tom O'Brien in with us this morning, who's sitting on top. He's just done a little bit of schooling, and he'll be out quite soon. About the 10th of July is a race at, I think it's Market Raise, and I thought might be suitable for him. He came to us just under a year ago. He's by Scorpion. To be honest, he's been a bit of a disappointment because I thought he was a sort of horse that would really improve in our yard. But I wouldn't give up on him just yet. He ran well first time. He has had a slight wind issue, which a lot of the Scorpions do. And he's had his palate cauterised, although that was in fairness before his last few runs. But you can see he's a nice big stamp of a horse, and I'm sure Tom will tell me that he could possibly go chasing in the autumn. And I think the better ground will suit him, about 2.5 miles. So I hope we still got races to be won with HIGGS. A lovely sight, ROMANEE and tracked by Sudden Destination, coming to finish their work. They're back in full work now. 2 excellent foxtrot horses that have had injuries and a long time off. ROMANEE in particular, of course, absolute stable star. 12 wins for us, 14 wins in his entire career over every code. Give me another horse like him anytime you can. He had his tendon injury in America in July of last year. He was treated by this treatment called microcurrent treatment, and I have to say the legs feel and look good as new. But the test is always, as you train them, to see whether they can cope with the work that's going on. Obviously, it'd be very difficult for him to win races now because he's on such a high handicap mark. He's still at 151. He's been an incredible Trojan, but the aim will be to get him back for the track around about September, October time, and then aim for some of those nice races, maybe take us to Ascot again, if we could, where he had his signature win. But what a star he's been. And if we switch to Sudden Destination, a lovely big scopy type. He has a classic story of national hunt racing. He's had problem after problem really for these big horses. He's had a tie-back surgery since his last run, then a tendon strain. But I'm so pleased that we are giving him a chance, because in between he's shown flickers of real ability. Really it is a bit last chance saloon for him, but we've got to see what he can do. So he's by Dubai Destination. He's got a mark of 115, still a maiden, remember, over hurdles and fences. So there are options for him, providing we can get him to the track in one piece. That's the plan, but they're both back in full work. This is Gettysburg Address, who's 9 years old now, by Milan. And the reason I wanted to point him out to you is that he had a most appalling injury where he injured himself somehow in the field, which is just a terrible thing that horses have, which is an injury down here. Dreadful laceration. We thought we'd lost him. He's had best part of a year off, but he's come back and he's good as new. And we're giving him a go again. The owner absolutely loves him, Mike Tudor, so much so that he said that as soon as this horse is finished racing, he's going to pay for him to be transported to be a hack for him in the United States of America. So that's the commitment. But Gettysburg Address will be fascinating to see how he gets on this year. She's fit and ready to go now. You remember that last year it didn't quite happen for her. But I'm glad that we've hung on to her to give her another go. She's got a good handicap mark of 96. I want to try something different this year. It may not work, but There's a lot in the pedigree that suggests that she possibly wants further, but she does need to settle to get that. So I'd like the idea of trying her over 3 miles and dropping her right out in a low grade race. Now, there's a race at Stratford on July the 8th that I've penciled her in for. I'm hoping we'll have a run there. And as I say, it's a bit of an experiment learning curve, but we need to do something a little bit different from last year to try and get the best out of her. But she's trained very well, she's trained easily, absolutely equal to last year. So hopefully we can get the penny to drop and use that good handicap mark. NORDICAN BLEUE, 5 years old now, very talented on her day, but quite tricky. She's a mare. We didn't quite score in her juvenile season, but 2 lovely wins last year, but then she disgraced herself not starting in her last run. So, but she has plenty of ability and she's training well, and what we're hoping to do is to run her in the summer hurdle at a market race, and that's the current plan. There are no mares handicap hurdles she can run in. Her rating is 125. Whether she's good enough for that, I don't know. She'd have to be absolutely on her A game. But provisional plan is to have her then. Hopefully Mr. Twiston Davis on my left will be able to ride her.
Fingers crossed.
Great. So this is Tango Echo Charlie, a 6-year-old new horse for us. Just joined us. He hasn't run for us yet, but he'll be out this summer. He was third in a bumper in Ireland. He's running a few point-to-points. He was 4th in a point-to-point, but some in and out form before then. Trained by a very small yard in Ireland, Roy Tector. Khalil's been riding him this morning. He's schooled. We'll go novice hurdling with him, but to be honest, he's one I'm expecting to be a 3-mile chaser down the line. He's by stowaway. He tends to get a lot of stamina, and the mare is a full sister to I think a half sister to a horse called Newvelly, or full sister to Newvelly, and a half sister to a very good horse that Twiston Davis used to have, Ardahey. So nice bit of pedigree, but you'd expect this to be a chaser in the making the long term, and probably wants softer ground. But I want to start him off during the summer just to see where we're at and see how we get on. So this is FLEUR de SEUIL, who's a new recruit from France. We've got quite a few mares this year, and she's an interesting character, not an expensive buy. She's closely related to Catamaran de SEUIL, who some of you will know has won 5 races for us, and the same owner actually was keen to buy her. So she's by Urloxhey, who's Mick Shannon's a good horse on the flat. He's not really made as a great stallion yet, but she's like 1 or 2 of these mares we have. The difficulties, it can be quite a challenge on the track because she gets quite buzzy and excited. But actually, she has a nice way of going about her when she does get going, and she's running a couple of hurdles in France, and she jumps beautifully. So I'll be hopeful if we can get her to calm down and not get silly at the track, that she's got enough ability to go and win a race or 2. So this is one of the success stories of last season, Mr. MULDOON. Great foxtrot horse. Again, not an expensive buy. Came from the point-to-point field. I wasn't quite sure how good he was. Many of you remember me telling you, warning everyone that he couldn't possibly win at Worcester when he duly won first time up. But of course, he's run 5 times over hurdles, and he's never been outside the first 3. He's won 3, including, of course, that excellent win at Ascot, and he's rated 132. Very excited about going chasing with him. He's going to go novice chasing. He likes a bit of soft ground, so he's only really just come back into training, but he's just done his canter this morning, we're excited about him for the autumn. I did foolishly pick him out as when someone asked me for a horse to follow. This could be a very interesting horse. He surprised me last year. I'm hoping that's surprising. He continues to surprise me as the season rolls on and he goes chasing. Just for fee. He's a new horse being sent to us. The reason I mention is you might want to look out for her. Very tricky. She's running her races and runs like a complete tearaway. So we're working hard. She's settled into to get her to settle. She's settled into our training routine, but it remains to be seen what she'll do on the track. I think she's going to be a handful, but she has got plenty of ability. By fame and glory. That's just for fee. French purchase, stamina choke, 4-year-old filly, not expensive. Come from a very good yard in France, François Nicole. Maiden, so I like her because we still can go for those maidens and novices, and yet shown good ability. Typical French horse. She's a 4-year-old filly. She's already run over hurdles and fences, and she jumps beautifully. But difficult yard to improve on from François Nicole. This is COULONCES, who's a 5-year-old mare, another French purchase by Le Havre. Now this horse is a slightly different profile. She's been doing very well on the flat in France. She's run to a mark of nearly 90, certainly mid-80s, 1 mile and 6, 2 miles on the flat. Bit slow to get the hang of her jumping, a little bit careful, but is improving all the time. And we've got a number of mares, and she might just be one of the picks of them anyway to look out for. So this is MINELLA ENCORE, and the reason I wanted to show him to you, he's a fairly new recruit, 8-year-old. We've broken all the rules and we bought a horse from Willie Mullins, so that was probably a huge mistake. But this horse would have the highest bumper rated performance of any horse we've ever handled, about 136 or something. And he's still a maiden over hurdles, despite running to a mark of 138. However, we got him, we managed to get him cheaply, and the reason for that is that he has had some training issues, and he lost a lot of time off with a very bad colic, but he's recovered from that. But he should, if he stays sound, be able to win 1 or 2 races, and of course he's a lovely chasing guy. And he's by King's Theatre, my favourite jump stallion of all time, who's no longer with us, who of course was the stallion of Royal Knight, one of our all-time favourites. So that's MINELLA ENCORE. So to show you just how wet it is, look, the ducks have arrived. And here's Who Shot Who. Very pleased to report he's just completed his 3 miles cantering. He's completely sound and we're absolutely on track. We've had a very sort of stop-start spring, early summer with him, with a couple of foot problems, but he seems to be over them now. We're on track and I'm excited. I mean, he's a horse that in many ways, I think I've crabbed him far too much because I've had high expectations of him. 2 chase wins. He has been placed 11 times as well. So, you know, he's a super horse, and there are still races to be won with him. He won't be out now, I would have thought, until about probably the late summer anyway, autumn time, because he's missed too much time and he's only just now got back on track. But lovely horse, by beneficial. I would think chasing would be the #1 aim, but as we know, he could go hurdle, he can mix and match like he's done before, and maybe the better ground will help him. Muggins here thought soft ground would help work for him, but it hasn't particularly helped. Who Shot Who? So this is Something About Angela, a mare that I bought from Ireland last year, won a novice hurdle in Ireland last year, over 2 miles 6. She's got a mark of 110. She was unlucky not to win on debut. Sent her up to Hexham and she just got chinned on the line. Definitely feel that there's, she's got races to win and she will go chasing at some point. But she's by Milan, so a lovely mare. Something About Angela, and she'll be out, I think, in about 2 weeks' time. This is Marine 1. We never thought we'd see the day when we had a horse by Frankel in the yard, but we've got one here. King Frankel, I think, was originally costing £250,000 to cover one. He's obviously not quite lived up to the original expectations, but he's a lovely horse. He's been sent to us. He's only been with us 2 or 3 weeks. He's already working quite nicely. He's an interesting horse. He's run 4 times over hurdles for Dennis Hogan. Hasn't won yet, which is ideal for us. But the handicapper I asked for a mark has given a mark of 117. So he's one of those you'd expect to go on a maiden hurdle somewhere this summer, and really with a favourite's chance. He's rated quite lowly on the flat as well, in the 60s, and he's certainly a sort of dual purpose type, but lovely horse to have, and many more Frankels pleased to be sent to the yard if possible.